Alright, let me try this. Unfortunately for the peoples that sent messages to me wanting to know if I duel, well, back a little whiles ago I did. I actually didn't have what you would call dueling characters. But I'm not going to show you that tonight, and I'm not going to really get into it a whole lot. I tried to get with, I will tell you this, I did try to get with the almighty goddess of D2 to see one of her non-ladder accounts that I knew she had a dueler on. And she claims that she never had a dueler. Apparently, my mind is flashbacking from a couple of 2 or 3 years ago because I know she had a couple of them. But anyway, like I said, I'm not going to digress on that too much. What I am going to show you tonight is a couple of fun builds that you could do, and I know there's going to be different variations, so, you know, leave the comments at a minimum when it comes to trying to diss somebody on their build. But let me show you one that I did on a barb, and one, I don't know if I'm putting in this one, maybe later, one on a druid, but I know for sure I want to show you my Crybarb, bow barb, howl, whatever you want to call it, shout barb. There's many names for them, but I call it a Crybarb. And it's one of the easiest builds you could do, and no, I don't have whirlwind. It's just a dedicated Crybarb. More of a support role, not really a tank, but you can use the weapon, I guess. It does pretty good damage, but the flail that you actually use not really gonna, you know, get you through any difficulty levels by yourself. You're not, you know, gonna do Ubers or anything like that, you know, solo. But it's more of a support role, and it's fun. Me and a guy actually last ladder got together on there, and we were making a Crybarb. He actually got his to where it did a dual role of Frenzy and Crybarb, and he got his life over 10k. And I know that's probably not uncommon, and I was right there below him. I was like 9,500 life or whatever, and that's not too shabby. So let me just go ahead and jump into this and show you the gear set on it. I don't think this is going to be a very long video, so let's do it. Alright, first of all, I want to apologize. I'm not using fraps tonight, even though you might see the little numbers up there. This is going to be too long for the version that I have. But here is my version of a Crybarb. And these are fun characters. They're more leeches and levelers than anything, and like I said, they do play an important support role when you get a bunch of friends together and you're doing tough missions. You can even use them in Ubertrist, but just mainly for what they do, which is give you battle orders primarily to raise your life. So let's start off by showing you the fun thing that is, you know, going on with this guy. Look at his speed. And I have seen one faster than this, and you'll see the gear set that you actually use to do this, and like I said, it's a pretty fun character. So let's start off with his equipment. Let me bring up the stats over here and start off with Hoto. Get you a Heart of the Oak flail for this particular build. Remember, on all your builds you want to, depending on what you're doing, that is, you want to focus in on mainly 3 things: skill, life, and block. That is very important. And your resistances. I guess there's 4 things primarily: resistances, block, life, and so on. Alright, so Hoto gives you +3 to skills, 40 faster cast rate, which is not, well, actually that's a perfect one. That's not too shabby. That's not really important with these. It can be. They use a lot of mana in a couple of their cries, but the main thing on this one is +3 to skills. Next one, I'll show you. He is wearing Enigma. Now I know that's kind of unusual for a barbarian, Baba, or whatever you want to call him, to have Enigma, but I got it for 2 things. Number 1, it has a +2 to skills, and the other one is for the teleport, because this guy here is capable of teleporting while you're doing bail runs. He is quite effective doing bail runs just due to the fact the way he's set up. His faster cast rate helps him in that particular role. For his shield, I'm using a Spirit, once again for +2 to the skills, 30 faster cast rate, and I think that's about it on it. Everybody already knows the resistances that you get off of it. The amulet I'm using is just a blue amulet that's got +3 to war cries, so that helps a lot in what you're doing here. Excuse me. On the helm, a lot of people make fun of this one and go, what the hell are you doing? But there's a reason. I'm using delirium on this particular barb, and there are a lot of people that use delirium on this particular build and a couple other barbs. This one gives you +3 to battle command, +3 to battle orders, and those are the two main ones that you want, mainly the +3 to battle orders. And then when you make delirium, and this helm, by the way, was a white helm that came with these skills. You can find them, and it was 3 open sockets, so we made delirium, lem ist io to make delirium. It gives you +2 to skills, so in essence you're getting +5 to battle orders in that particular one. Yes, it does stack. On the belt, I'm using a rack slash, obviously for the +1 to skills, 20 faster cast rate. And on my gloves, we're using frost burns. No particular reason here. I think mainly for the +30 to defense is the reason why I picked these. Stone of Jordan for a +1, Stone of Jordan for another +1, and on the boots I'm using War Travelers for the 25 faster run walk. Gives you 10 to strength, 10 to vitality, slow stamina drain for when you're doing your running, walking, and all that, because there are certain situations that you can't teleport out of, and that gets you the hell up out of there. On the GCs, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 9 Warcry GCs. A couple of these, let's see, no, these don't. That's right, I traded off with Brandon on last ladder, but a couple of these did have the lifers. If you can find a +1 to war cries with life, anything life, I think you can go all the way up to 45 is perfect, but those things are like awful rare. I think 40 or more common. They're still rare, but you can get them. But anything that's a Warcry GC or any skill set GC with life, not just for a barbarian, what they call a lifer GC, is awesome. So there's 9 of those. For my Hellfire Torch, mine is a barbarian class, so that gives me 3 more barbarian skills. This one is a 14-10. Well, that's not too high, but the main thing on this one is the skills, so we're not going to cry about that. And then I have just various small charms here that give faster run walk, attack rating, let's see, faster hit recovery. And then as you'll notice, these things that nobody ever figured out what did, I have a few, and this one I did do Ubers with. Standard of heroes. Don't ask me, I don't know. Nobody has ever explained that part to anyone. Alright, as usual, on your settings, on your stats, as far as your character build, strength, dexterity, life, just enough to wear the equipment on the strength, same thing on the dexterity, and everything else goes into life. Remember, on any of your builds, put 0, absolutely none, zilch, none, nada into energy or mana. Let's see, average chance to hit, defense 16. See, your chance to block on this one is low because, like I said, he's more of a support role, not really a tank. If you were to build a dueler, I will throw this in here, you want to max your chance of blocking on that particular one. We'll get into that later because I know that I have one that I just need to gear back up. There were a couple of pieces missing. Alright, and as you can see, my resistances, they're not maxed on this one, but I have 71, 71, 71, and 36 on the resistances. That's starting from the bottom. Base life is 1910. Now, I want you to notice after I do the bow that it's not going to be way up where I said it was, and there's a reason for that, because in order to really jack it up, you need an awesome druid with an awesome oak sage, that is. So there you go. That's the basic build on the. And now we'll go over to the skill sets, and hopefully I won't screw this up. On the war cries, all right, they have a couple in howl, taunt. There's a couple. Let's see. Shout is maxed. Battle cry is maxed. War cry is maxed. Battle orders is maxed. And let's see, Battle Command is not. I didn't really put a whole lot in Battle Command. Alright, that's the end of the part 1 to this one. Hopefully you get the basic idea of how you can build a support character. And yes, there are support characters along with tanks. And I'll post part 2 up here hopefully tonight. If I don't, I'll try to get it up first thing tomorrow. Because we're not done. I'm going to actually show you some gameplay with this guy. So stay tuned to the Craft Chest.